we have two very similar surfboards in the mix today, and they are right here. The Firewire Groove, Machado's latest go-to performance board, versus the now classic, tried and true MASHUP right next to it. Or, if you want to get another look at it, right here. Now, I have to shout out one of my commenters who did request this, and this will be the first test to see how this stream is going to go. Because last time I streamed and I tried to share my stream, it was no bueno. They didn't like it. YouTube got mad. But I'm going to try it again because I think it is important. So let's see what happens when I do a little screen share and how much of a catastrophe this becomes. So, sharing screen. You're going to allow. Yep, let's share this window, please. What was his name? Surf Bike, really blowing it right now. Your connection is unstable. Me no likey. Because I used to be a champ at this screen sharing thing, and then all of a sudden, it just stopped working. So, me no likey that. Let's see how this audio is sounding. Is it me or is it crackling? I can't tell. Let me know in the chat. Is the audio sound good? Or are we getting a crackling sensation? Because this is not what we need right now. I'm not even supposed to be here today. But we will continue. And I might even have to change the mic. Let me know in the chat if the mic sounds good or not. Pretty dumb right now. I'm trying a new mic. This little guy. And I guess we'll see how this goes. But anyway, let's get back to the stream here. So we have the groove versus the mashup. So the groove is essentially your new performance shortboard. Rob has talked about this thing, really amping it up lately. I see it all over the social medias. And this is pretty much the 1990s surfboard. And real quick, before we keep moving on, I want to shout out for this episode's sponsor is Bare Bottom. They're nice enough to send me some swag. Here's their little logo right there. This is their tech tee. It's classy. And then the stretch shorts. So I have a video about these coming out, but these are pretty good. So stretch short. The go-to bare bottoms is sick because they have like elastic, but then belt loops. So it's like a combo. It's a 2-for-1. 7-inch size large. And here's the little logo there. So go check them out. I'll put the links below. But I am really liking bare bottom stuff. It's kind of right on par with Viore and Lululemon. But they've been nice enough to kind of send me some swag, and I really like the stuff actually. The shirt's awesome. It's like it's heaps stretchy, and it's super comfortable, and the stuff fits me really nice. So let's keep moving on here. So what I like about the groove, as you look at it compared to the mashup, I think that tail works a little better as a daily driver than the mashup, because as you can see, the mashup does have a bigger wide point in the middle. Give me one sec, y'all. I need to see if this audio sounds good. This is going to annoy me. The audio. It actually sounds fine to me. We're going to roll with it. It sounds fine to me. I couldn't tell if it was like the Wi-Fi being weird or what, but it's getting off to a bad start. It's not going well. But luckily, we do have one thing that will save the day, and it is my super smoothie. And tonight it is extra super because we have all this stuff in here. But essentially, it's a acai peanut butter chocolate vegetable green smoothie, and it turns out to be this lovely color, which is kind of um, acai peanut buttery. It's quite delish, quite delish. So this will keep me alive during the stream. But what separates these boards like the most, I think, is the mashup is still categorized on Firewire's website as kind of a groveler. I mean, when you go to Firewire, Surfboards, and Groveler, and you scroll down, it's not in Groveler, but then you go to Surfboards Hybrid, and that is where you're going to find the mashup. So it's in the hybrid, and I still don't know why the screen share isn't working. We're going to do it again. Let's see, use operating system. Mute website notifications. See what happens. Screw it. Connection's not stable. Me no likey, me no likey. So the connection's not stable. It's this has been working great forever. Then one day it decided, the old internet Wi-Fi decided that no more good connection for you, young Travis. But when you go to the Firewire site and then you want to look at the other board, the Groove, it's actually in the performance category. So it's sitting alongside boards like the S-Boss, the FRK, the Houdini, the Sci-Fi, even the Great White Twin they have in performance. And when you look at the dimensions of the Great White Twin, it makes sense because the 510 is only 32 liters in the Great White Twin. And even the 510 in the Groove is thicker and bigger than that. The 510 in the Groove is 34 liters. So it's 2 more liters. So the Groove even grovels better than Kelly's Twin Fin Fish, the Great White. So it really goes to show that like the shaper behind a lot of these boards really means a lot. So when you look at the mashup versus the Groove, one big thing of separating these is that the Groove is straight up Machado. And supposedly the board's even kind of older. It's been around a hot second. The mashup is actually an older board as well, but it did come out a good while ago now. I mean, it's kind of solidified itself as, I would say, one of the GOATs now in the Firewire lineup because I think right after the Seaside came out, the mashup came out soon after that. So really, you didn't have the Machado Cotto yet. You didn't have the Two Fish yet. You had the Go Fish, but you didn't have, a couple of these other boards. So it's interesting to see how maybe the mashup was actually Rob's first go at a performance-y board, because it pretty much is like the Seaside mixed with the Spitfire, which the Firewire site says, but I would almost even say the Dominator is in there too, because the Spitfire, I don't even think it's on the website anymore. So, it's not really around. It's not a board you can buy on Firewire's website. I'm looking on the website right now. I don't see it anywhere. So that goes to show that when they made the mashup, they even had a board that it replicated kind of that's not even in the lineup anymore. So the mashup's for sure more OG. But if you look at the two shapes here, what's funny is the mashup does look like a better groveler. It has more space in the center of the board. So this right here has a wider point up here than the Groove, which means you can kind of step up a little more and ride it more kind of like a typical fish board. So it makes me think that the mashup is probably better for us front-footed surfers, because usually when there's more width and weight towards the nose, it lets you ride that front foot more and you're not as kind of dependent on your back fin to your back foot on the back of the board to do a lot of the work. Whereas the groove is actually a lot more spread out volume wise from middle to bottom. I mean, the groove actually, when you really look at it, it's more similar to the Machado Cado than the MASHUP. But I bet that it rides more like the MASHUP than the Machado Cado. Now, that is because of just the overall shape of the board, not necessarily because it's more symmetrical than the MASHUP, but because it's a little thinner, a little more needly, a little more of a true performance thruster shape. I gotta pause while I take a delicious sip of my late night smoothie. I drink one of these pretty much every day, and I think it's either gonna make me live forever or it's slowly killing me. One of the two. There's not really any in between. But what I like about the groove is, like, to me it seems like it takes the MASHUP, and I'll show you here. Well, at least let me do this, hopefully. So the groove will kind of take what the MASHUP does well and mash-ish up, but the one kind of like Achilles heel, but also it's one of his pros, is the MASHUP's tail, which the groove goes a different route. So the MASHUP, has this swallowtail, but it goes beyond that, because the swallowtail, it gets pretty thin, and then for some reason it really surfs like no other swallowtail out there. It's not a usually, to me, swallowtails like add some stability, makes the board ride smoother. This swallowtail, because it has this like step down rail here and here, it's kind of hard to see on the camera, but you can tell that there's pretty much a slope here and here. And then combined with just how thin it gets here, there's not much like holding the tail together. So what happens on the MASHUP is you're mashing stuff up, but it is a skatey, fast flow. Whereas when you have like a rounded squash, like more so on the groove, compared to this, that's going to be like an easier board to kind of ride off your back foot. I know my wax job it's like cake on there. It's thick. I like it like that. So you're not really like losing anything by going with the groove over the MASHUP in terms of like the tail. The tail, I think, is going to be more stable in the groove, and considering they are dimensionally wise like pretty similar, I'm just going to double check the 5.9 of the groove, what it is. But the internet doesn't want to work still. This is live TV. We're on live TV. Let's see. Performance. This is silly biscuits right now. You're just going to stop working right in the middle of the live stream, huh? Firewire. Really? They're not Firewire. Firefox. Firefox doesn't want to work. Maybe it's because I'm streaming on Firefox. Maybe Firefox just doesn't like me anymore. This is silly biscuits. Let's see. Let's get out of there. I'm just trying to look at this. So the groove's 5.9 dimensions is pretty much 1.5 liters difference. Like the 510 groove is the same liters as the MASHUP. So, like, if you want more length, but you don't want to like start getting too crazy up in the volume, the grooves are a better option, because you can get like a 6.0 and it's not going to get too up there in the liters. It's 37 liters with a 6.0. Where the 6.0 on the MASHUP, it's probably more around like 39 liters. Let's see what it says. Yeah, the 6.0 on the MASHUP's 38.5 liters. So what you're kind of gaining in length when you start going up in length, you're going to get more volume in both boards, obviously, but it happens quicker and faster with the mashup. So, like, depending on how big you are and how much volume you want is also going to make you make the right decision or the wrong decision. Um, because the Groove being a more performance board, like, I still wouldn't be necessarily putting it in a similar, even though on the website it's next to like the FRK or whatever it's called and the other boards like that. To me, it's more like a Dominator, the Groove, but it probably even rides better than the Dominator because to me, the Dominator would probably ride more like the Mashup than the Groove because it has the Dan Mann ness in it. And what Dan Mann likes is he likes to make boards that are from the 1998. Like they're not going to be like when you look at the mashup now, like at first you think, oh, it's a pretty hybridy shortboard. But then you look at it compared next to the Seaside, the Two Fish, the Machado Cotto, and even the Groove. Like you start realizing you're like, oh, this board actually is like not that fishy. It's like again, I always just call it a shortboard, and when I surf the mashup, I'm just like, oh, I'm going shortboarding. It's pretty much my lower tide, chest to head board, and then when it gets really big, I actually ride a 6.0 Twinsman. I know it's blasphemy. We're going outside the Firewire range, but the the mashup, like it's kind of in a weird spot where like it wants to be a groveler, but it actually ends up being a little skatier than that. And then it wants to be like the Groove and a performance board. But I think just the marketing of it and what it kind of looks like just the swallowtail, more film forward, it seems to like want to be more like a fish, but in reality, really these boards are more similar than like the Groove and the Machado Cotto or the Mashup and the Machado Cotto. Like these boards are almost as similar, I would say, as like the Groove and the Dominator. There's almost probably even so much overlap with these two, or like I don't think you would even need to have both of these. Let's see if I can bring up a picture of. Let's see. That's the technology. The technology, man. So here's another nice artsy picture of the Groove. But what I like with the Groove is it's like it's I've been calling it the Machado Cotto Light because it's pretty much taking the Machado Cotto and then squeezing it everywhere and making it just more refined. Um, what is this picture? Oh, that's just dimensions. Whereas like the mashup is like not really as similar to any other of of Rob's shapes or anything. It's like kind of like taking the it's like taking one of Dan's Man's boards and then Rob's boards. But even like the Seaside is definitely more of a monstrosity than this. Like this, when you really start feeling it and you're looking at it, and like, all right, what is this thing? This is the 5.9, and it's really narrowed out. It does this thing where it kind of stays pretty flat, and then but it does maintain its thickness to the edges, and then it has like a little curvedness. But it's not really like the Revo Max, where the Revo Max kind of stays thinner, and then the rails are a lot more refined. This takes more of like Rob's approaches with rails, but then I think back here is where it becomes more like a Dan Mann thing, and then added with the Rob thin tail right here. So they really tried to do something pretty unique and different. And again, this from the elevation from like here to the end of the rail, it's pretty much like the board ends right here. I'll show you. The board, mind focus? Yeah. The board ends pretty much here and here. It's like really the board is only this wide at the bottom because it cuts in so much here and it cuts in so much here that like you're basically dealing with like a board that's it feels way narrower on your back foot, especially compared to all of other Rob's boards that are like this that have a wide tail, but it is a thin tail like this, but it's pretty wide. Like all of his tails, even the groove, wants to maintain the width at the very edge of the tail. This, even the thinness, isn't as gnarly as any of his other boards. Like the thinness there, it's actually not terribly thin. I mean, it's thin, but it's kind of more like a normal surfboard. Whereas a lot of Rob's boards, like the Machado Cado, which I guess I could grab really quick. This has, everyone left. Sorry guys, I'm back. This has like a thin tail. Let's see, ZV1. This lens on the ZV1 doesn't like focusing on me. There we go. It's funny, this lens I'm using is a Sony lens, and it focuses worse than my Tammy lenses. But it's kind of because the f-stop doesn't go as down. This is Film Nerd 101, but the lower your f-stop, aka the bigger the hole can get, that's what she said, lets in more light. So the smaller the hole, aka the aperture, the less light can get to the lens, hence it's less good in low light, hence it won't focus as well in a lower light scene. Now this isn't lower light at all, but camera talk, pretty much bright sunlight is normal light. Like on a film set, there's some bright ASS light. So normal rooms aren't even that bright, even though I have a light here. So that's why sometimes it goes out of focus more so than my other lenses. But it's nice and small, and I like to use it as my little webcam. And we're filming with the glorious ZV1. All hail the ZV1. But like the Machado Cado tail is like, this is thin. So like that's thin. So the MASHUP actually doesn't get this thin. It kind of stays more like this thickness at the very here. So this gets nice and thin. So what happens is, even though this tail is like it's freaking wide, it gets so thin that it creates like a really nice stable platform off your back foot, which the MASHUP, it doesn't do that. The MASHUP is, it's Squirrel City. Like you're you're a squirrel trying to get a nut. There's a line from I think it's 50 Cent or Eminem, Lloyd Banks maybe. But you're just trying to get a nut with the MASHUP because you're just. But the Machado Cado, like today I surfed it and I noticed like it's really, really good at, you're going down the line and you want to do like precise cuts. It feels really good because the tail is so wide that it's kind of like you're on a skim board that's very thin and you're moving the water around kind of like you're slowing down time, but it's very precise and you can be kind of on it, and it's not as like tick-tacky. It's more moving side to side. And today was like a really nice example of that. I could really feel like the magic of this board. The waves were kind of firing today, and the board was like performing epic. And then also I had the Solite booties on, and they finally were sticking, and I was like, oh, now the board's too sticky. So that was good. Slight side tangent, Solite booties. Now I'm not sure about the in-between sizes. I'm trying the 10s forever, and my toes are getting like destroyed. So if I had to get them again, I might have to get the 11s, even though that is a half size up. I'm going to try remolding them, but with the socks, they're better. But my toes are getting a little destroyed. So, yeah. We have some celebrities in the chat. We have old Migsy. Migsy says, "Good day, Sensei Travis." Migsy, cheers. Migsy, does this mic sound okay? Can you let me know? So Migsy says, I just hit him to get my board and heading out soon for a quick sunset surf. I'm fuming. I'm missing out on the live stream. Oh no, by the way, your sound is extremely low. Stupid. Let me turn it up a little bit. Stay with me, Migsy, so you can tell me if it sounds good. All right, hey Migsy, is that better now or is that still too low? Let me know, guys, in the chat. If you're in the chat, y'all smash like. I see you guys coming in. It sounds very low, brother. Oh my gosh, Migsy. That's stupid. Let's see. What about now, Migsy? Is this any better? The stream, this has just been a same, really. Oh gosh, what a freaking nightmare. What about now, Migsy? How's it sound now? Test 1 2. Test 1 2. I'm a professional. I'm a professional. I might have to try. Same. Oh God, Migsy, you're killing me. You're killing me. Let me see, Migs. Let me see. I'm a professional. This is what I do for a living. Just make movies. Oh, it sounds pretty good, Migs. I think your volume might be a little low. I mean, it might be a little low, but I don't know if I'm going to change. I don't know if I can get out and change stuff right now without leaving the stream and making it weird. To me, it sounds okay in my AirPod. I don't have it that cranked. So I'm going to turn up a teeny bit more. See what happens. And then let's see. I'm professional. And it is the same. Same. You know, it reminds me up in Arrested Development where Job and Ben Stiller like want to be best friends and they're all like, same. They don't get it. It's really funny. Look it up on YouTube. Ben Stiller, Will Arnett saying same. And they're both like, same. So same. Your voice feels really far away. When you're clicking on the keyboard, it sounds low. Your voice feels far away. Well, I kind of blew it, Migs. I tried a new microphone. It probably should be more like this. And now it sounds amazing, so maybe I'll just hold the microphone. But yep, Jason Valentin said, yeah, it's pretty long. And then no. and then Migsy, are you quoting is it Dude, Where's My Car? And I guess I'm gonna do this even though it kind of sucks. And she's like, he goes to the drive-thru and he's like, I want some chicken and fried rice. She's like, and then he's like, and some dumplings and sauce. She's like, okay, and he's like, and then I'll pull around and get my food. We'll be on our way. And then he's like, and then we'll leave and be happy. And she's like, and then he's like, if you say and then one more time, I'm gonna come through there. And then. It's like the best scene ever. It's amazing. Let me put the board down for a second, and then I'll hold this freaking mic the whole time. Oh. Dang it. This is supposed to be a good stream. It's off the rails. Camera doesn't focus. Mic sucks. All right, here we go. We're back. We're going to hold this stupid mic. Here's the problem, though. Now, it's probably going to blow out a little bit. So we'll see what happens here. But I am monitoring it with my AirPods, so we'll see what happens. So, oh, now Migsy says the mic sounds perfect. Well, there we go. Whoop-de-doo. Everyone wins. Everyone wins. Well, thanks, Migs. I appreciate it. I did the stream for 30 minutes and it sucked. So I needed you here before. But it's okay. It's okay. Here, I'll do a little cat face. Then I'll do a little monkey ear thing. Oh, Migs says, no, dude, it's perfect. Great. Perfect. I could probably even set this up. Probably could set this up in a certain way without breaking something. Let's see what happens. This is going to be a catastrophe. Let's see if I move this. That's going to be a catastrophe. You know what I can do? I can't do nothing. I'm trapped. I got to hold it right here. So we'll continue. I'll just hold it for a little bit. Life is suffering. Okay, so let's bring up my cool background. These two. So Megs, which of these boards do you prefer? Megs, are you going Firefox? If you don't start working, I'm gonna lose it. I'm getting close to losing it here. There you go. Megs, which board are you picking? Megs, you're saving the stream. It was going to Ish. Oh, there we go. It popped. Usually with this mic, I do have a pop filter, which is this little screen. Because when you do P's, when you're Perry Piper, pick the peppy pepper. See, you just heard it pop a bunch, so I can't see the P word. So this is fun. This is what you learn in film school, which is good. It's important, and it separates the professionals from the lowlifes. Well, thanks, Jason. Jason, how are you? Do you have any of either of these boards, Jason? Don't know if we've seen you before in the community. You guys remember that surf brand Community? I think it was spelled with a K. Oh, it was Kelly Slater's brand. It was like track pads, leashes. Let me see, Community. Slater. I would share my screen, Migsy, but that doesn't work either. Oh, look, Community Project. There it is. Oh, yeah. He had fins. Oh, wow, this is old. Oh, yeah, the little logo. I'm going to share for 1 second, and I'll probably lose my voice in the process because the stupid stream hates working now. Allow. All right, so this will be what the Community was. This logo and the old stuff Kelly used to make. So dumb. This doesn't want to work at all. It can't even look at a screen. Yeah. Oh, wow. So Migsy says he's never ridden the Groove. He needs a 6.6 because he needs the volume. He's a thick boy. And he said, yes, Community is a few streets from where I live. Oh, really? It's still a brand? Oh, maybe it is Australian. Migsy, you can just skip your surf. You don't need to surf. Oh, you know what I should do, Migsy? I should make you like a moderator. Let me see. Ooh, moderation activity. Oh, uh-oh. I don't even know what I just did. Here, shut that off. Yeah, Migsy, I'll make you a moderator one day. What is this? Oh, community moderation. Oh, gosh. All right, I'm getting out of there. I'm getting out of there. Yeah, so Migsy's saying, yeah, Brookvale, Sydney is where Community's from. Oh, that's pretty cool. I never knew that. That's really cool. Migsy says, I'll do a free of charge lifetime guarantee. Oh, wow. 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 Oh, wow. Yeah, so all right, to be transparent here, I've never ridden the Groove either, but don't tell anyone. But I am concluding, people are leaving. I'm a fraud. That it is the Machado Cotto Light. You can stamp it, ship it. I'm going with that. I'm sticking with it. And today, when I had my magical session on the Machado Cotto, I could picture myself really enjoying the Groove because it's kind of like taking the Machado Cotto and it's giving it more performance, which I really like. Because like I'm not really someone who actually starts to not suffer, but gets like frustrated when the board, not when it's bogging too much, but when there's like a lot of board, I don't mind that because it's just my style of surfing. I like having the more board. You can push the board around more. Like it's rare that I'm like, the only time I really realize it's too much board is when I had the 6.2 torque pod mod. And that was finally when I was like, I can't like dig my rail. And it was so such an in particular feeling that like I really understood when it's almost like I didn't really get not that like people couldn't dig a rail, But like I understood from the 6.2 pod mod torque. I think it's more so the torque material though. Like I couldn't get the back rail to like go in. So when I would do turns, I would kind of like bog and the rail wouldn't go down. So I would just kind of fall over. And that's why Rob always makes his tails. I'm gonna do a little maneuver. If this works, probably will be a catastrophe. Let's see. Oh. Okay. So, Rob, I'm out of focus. Sony's EV1? Really? You can't even do the focus, huh? You can't even stay in focus. It's falling apart. We're falling apart. Oh, it doesn't want to be in the shot. It doesn't want to do it. Let's shut off the green screen. These guys, we got to get through this. We'll get through this one piece. So, like, you can see how this, it just gets so thin. It gets razor thin. So you can cheat on Rob's boards. And the groove, it doesn't get as thin as this, but it definitely is in this similar style. So, that's why it's like, even though this board is pretty gargantuan, like the 6.2 pod mod, I never feel like I felt on the pod mod on this. Now the PU pod mod was always amazing, and I never had any bogging issues. It was strictly the epoxy torque that was causing me the issue. So Migsy says he's going to be my moderator and a bodyguard service. Oh, and now the sound is absolutely perfect, Travis. 100% hands up and thumbs up. Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. I'm glad it only took me 37 minutes and 31 seconds to get there. So thank you, Migsy. Appreciate it. You know, what's funny is there's a volume thing on here, but like when I turn it, it doesn't seem to be doing anything. I don't usually use this mic on the streams. I use my Zoom mic, but I just wanted to experiment because it's fun. But I knew what I was getting myself into. I was like, "Is it gonna bite me in the butt?" And it did, and it's gone. So Jason says, oh wait, so Migsy said, "You've done your best surfing on the pod mod, brother." Well, thank you, Migsy. I rode the pod mod exclusively for like a decade, and it never let me down. I would ride in any condition. Love that board. That board made me not ride shortboards anymore. It made me addicted to the fishes. So Jason says, saw one of your podcasts about 6 months ago. He's a truck driver nowadays. Oh, but he does have a 5.9 MASHUP, and he rides it just high and up. And I use a quad or a 2+1. And sorry if the spelling comes out screwed up. I'm using talk to text. No worries, mate. And where are you from, Jason? Are you an Aussie CUNT, or do you live in America? Are you a Seppo? Are you a Seppo? That's cool. We have truck drivers. We have blue collar workers in the chat, not just PUSSY white collar people like me. I've done a lot of cursing via spelling, so YouTube, we'll see if they like that or not. But yeah, that's on mine is Jason is a 5.9. I'm gonna hold it for a sec. Those aren't staying. That's gonna fall. That's definitely gonna fall. Yeah, whatever. Oh look, the Lovely Boards. It's like The Lovely Bones, which is a great movie. Lovely Bones. Go watch it if no one's seen it. Peter Jackson. It was his first movie after Lord of the Rings 3, so you know it was a banger. That's sick, Jason. Yeah, my mashup's 5.9, and I've ridden the 5.9 and the 5.10. Let's see. I like. Oh, here we go. Look at this. Watch this little maneuver. Ooh, now we're really talking. Let's make sure I'm not popping now. Jason says he's. Let me know if the mic's still okay, y'all. He's originally from Puerto Rico and now lives in Florida, and he drives across the U.S. Well, yo, you're a freaking hero, man. Thank you for your hard work and much appreciated. You're like the backbone of our of America, and thank you very much. Thank you. What would we do without you, the truckers, dude? The truckers are like, and hopefully stuff's gonna still go good with y'all. I know I've heard a few things here and there with trucking labor stuff and like I think there's companies closing down, etc. One of my friends is actually a like what's it called when you're at the headquarters, like calling truckers and making sure they're going to the right places. So all day he's just like calling them. He's pretty much a dispatch, I guess, for all the truckers. And you might know this. I guess actually the Indian community is pretty heavily involved in trucking, which is kind of funny. You wouldn't think that's the case, but yeah, it's like especially in California. I think in like Sacramento and other places like that, it's like a lot of Indians. So who would have thought? I never knew that. Um, yeah, Jason says he took the 5.9 mashup to El Salvador and he loved it. That is Mo Sicka. That is Mo Sicka. Yeah, my friend actually just surfed El Salvador. I show you guys that my freaking internet doesn't want to work anymore. Yeah, my friend just surfed. Oh yeah, Jason said yes, especially in my neck of the woods. Oh, cool. Okay. Yeah, it was interesting. I had no clue. I had no clue. That was pretty cool. So yeah, my friend just like talks to the Indian guys all day and like has his little just talks to them. That's his thing all day, every day. Just barking orders or taking commands and just making sure that the trucks and the vegetables or whatever. A lot of his stuff is food, I think. But yeah, making sure it gets there and yeah, it's sketch. Like food can only be in the truck for so long before it goes stale. There's a lot going on besides just having to drive somewhere. It's more precise and more like liabilities than you would think, not just how dangerous it is. It's the cargo has to get there by Friday, and if it doesn't, all the food goes bad, like stuff like that. So it's pretty interesting. So thank you again, man. Yeah, the mashup, like what I've realized for me, it's like it's not really a love hate. I've kind of gotten over it. I kind of wish I got the 510 at times. If I did get the 510, it would have been a better daily driver. But what the 5.9 has become for me is it's definitely like my wave pool surf park board. Like if I ever go to a surf park or wave pool, I think it's the perfect board for that. Especially because it's a little smaller. Um, and I ride it with the NVS fins. Oh, nice. Jason said mashup at Waco was super fun. Yeah, that's actually where I first rode. I don't know if you watched my mashup review. Maybe I'll put it in the chat. That's where I rode my first mashup, and it was funny because I had never even seen the board, and I got super lucky where I was like, I guess I'm gonna ride. I was like, what board should I ride? And then this girl there, luckily, she was like, well, I think, and I told her like, yeah, I want like a 5'10", 35-ish liters, like more of a hybrid fish, and she's like, oh, I think you'll like this, and then somehow she just whipped it out. That sounded weird. And she's like, yeah, how's this board look? And I was like, that board looks freaking perfect. And I was like, oh, cool, like Firewire. And to me, it looked like a pod mod. I was like, oh, sick, this is like a pod mod. This is exactly what I want. And then it actually rode amazing. So, and then I also rode at Waco a 5.9 IPA Surf Tech Dark Twin, maybe? Dark Twin, but it did have a trailer. There we go. I can't say trailer anymore. Did have a trailer. And like right away, that felt more like the 5.9 mashup does. Like the 5.9 mashup and the 5.10 mashup, it's crazy how different they are. Like you would think 1 inch wouldn't do anything, but it does a lot. And if I had the 5.10, here, I'll post it in the chat. It would be that link goes to my mashup review. But don't leave now, obviously. You gotta watch me keep yapping for another whoever knows how long. Because it's awesome that like, all right, well, hold on, I gotta pause because we got Migsy. He says, boys, I gotta go. Love y'all. Hail hands, Shaka, 3 red hearts, and a like pumping iron emoji. Well, Migsy, thank you, sir. Hundreds. See you, mate. I wonder if YouTube will let me say that without banning me. We'll see. Irvin knows the secrets of the V being a U. Thanks, Migs, for coming on. Thanks for helping with the mic. So now I know I have to hold it close if I use this one. But yeah, so long story short, I left Waco and got back to where I live, and I went and bought the MASHUP. But in the shop, I had not ridden the 5.9 yet. I'd only ridden the 5.10 at Waco, and I last second chose the 5.9. It was, I don't know why. I did the under the arm test, and I went off the under the arm test, which I never do. So, but in retrospect, it did kind of help me get better at making YouTube videos, because it kind of started this, oh, I want to try the 5.10 again, or I want to try like a little bigger. And then I kind of was able to go to a Firewire demo, and then I got a little more connected with Chris Grow, and then it kind of just right place, right time. And now I have a really cool relationship with them, and I get to kind of borrow and demo boards all the time, and super grateful. And it's really fun being like, talking to them and kind of giving my thoughts. And it's cool. Like they really are figuring stuff out, and then making stuff, and then tweaking stuff. And like, I think they're actually doing pretty cool stuff as a surfboard company. They're not just, randomly coming out the board, and they'll, they ask me stuff and I tell them stuff. And I think it actually does have some input, and it's kind of cool that I think they're listening to like their customers, what people are saying, and they take that into account. Like the Twinser, for instance, only is in big sizes, but maybe that could be coming out in smaller sizes. Maybe I don't know that, maybe I do, but like that, they question stuff like that because, look at passports like the Seaside and Beyond or the Boss Up. Like, they took boards that did or are doing well, and then probably get feedback from people, and then want to increase or decrease those boards because the boards do perform well. So not many other companies really do that. They'll usually have a model that comes and it stays around a while. Then maybe a second version comes, maybe it doesn't come. But I know one thing that I'm pretty excited about is maybe if a Seaside 2 came out at some point. I think that'd be pretty sick, because the Go Fish came out, and then later on the Two Fish came out. So I feel like they actually have a few boards that have become classics that they could definitely do that with. And I think the Seaside is like the perfect board to do that with, because I think it's the best-selling surfboard in the world, which is crazy to think about, that they have a model. Let's see what the internet says. Is the Seaside best-selling surfboard ever? Says top 10 best-selling surfboards of 2018. That's kind of far away, and the winner is it's Stab. They're not going to let me do the paywall probably. Oh, they're Rocket Wide. They're saying Rocket Wide. Oh, look, Seaside. Yeah, so it's on the list, but it's like a top 10 list. But I know, at least for Firewire, it's one of their top performing boards, the top performing board bestseller. But I think it really is one of, if not the best selling surfboard, just because you look at it and you're like, oh, that obviously is good for a big group of people, and most people will like that board a lot. So, but back to the MASHUP and the Groove. So, what I think's cool too about both these boards is that they both have the 5-fin option, which is pretty awesome, because what the 5-fin does is it allows you to pretty much have everyone's happy. Like, everyone can be stoked, because what I've realized in this world of surfboards, you have quad guys and you have thruster guys. And sometimes the quad people just won't buy a board because it doesn't have the quad setup, and then the thruster people won't buy a board because it doesn't have the thruster setup. Now it is kind of rare for a board to only have a quad setup, but it's gotten more popular, especially after a board like the Seaside came out, where it only had the quad setup. Now you'd think the best-selling board would have 5 fins, but it doesn't. So that is a little interesting how they decided to go against the 5 fins for that board, which I thought was kind of, in retrospect, it does make a lot of sense. But it also, in retrospect, it's like it's always easier to put 5 fins in a board because you get both those camps, the quads and the tri fins, and then also the 2+1 people. But it could be analysis paralysis, and you're like, all right, well, what should I do? But I know like Rob was talking about the groove. Let's see, is it gonna fall? I just want to bring the fin templates up. This isn't gonna work, is it? Let's see. Nothing wants to work today. It doesn't want to work. Oh, no, it's not gonna work. Wants to work? You do? You don't? You do? You don't? You do? You don't? You do? You don't? I forget what that's from. You do? You don't? But I'm trying to bring up the pictures of the boards, the 2 fins, because I'm pretty sure they're in the same spot, but like sometimes I feel like Dan Mann might put his fins in like unique areas. And what's funny is like that the MASHUP, because it has the tail that's like so weird and so tic-tacky, makes me think that the fins might be something going on there. So I'm going to bring that up real quick. So just talk amongst yourselves. But what I really like is that, as more people experiment and get better at surfing, like trying out different fin combos really is a great strategy, because as someone who didn't care about fins that much for a lot of my surfing, it wasn't that I didn't care, but I liked the consistency you get from using the same fins. And it's when you get used to that, it's like a little less hard to try different fins, like because for me, a lot of times I would try fins and it would take a long time to really lock in how the fins feel. And then by the time I lock them in, I don't really want to go through that process again. So, some people like the experimentation, some don't. And now that I get it a little more, I actually think everyone should experiment with fins a lot. It's a really good way to, I'll bring the mic back up here. It's a really good way to like change how a board rides. Let's see. Show you guys what I'm doing just so I don't look like a crazy person. This little thing just broke or something. Different, the fins can make the board feel so different. It could save a board that you're like kind of over. There really is a lot to like what fins can do, and the quicker you like get on that bandwagon of like, oh, I'm gonna try like these fins, I'm gonna experiment. And again, it can be kind of like expensive because you're trying out a bunch of different fins, but they do have some demos for fins. They do have like you can try different fins at shops, etc. But they're not terribly expensive, and they have decent resale value. So you can sell a fin on OfferUp or Facebook Marketplace and not be SOL. So even places around me will buy fins. So it's really a good option for, and here we have the look at the fins now. It's a really good option because it completely can change a board, and it can actually make you love or hate a board. So um, now, as you see on the mashup and the groove here, like look near the tails and the the groove, because it like has the wider base, like the bottom fin and those side fins, there's less room from the back and the side fin to the tail. Then on the mashup, you actually have like more of a gap right there. And that's because like the mashup lets you, like, with its tick tackiness, it lets you not rely on the fins as much, really. I mean, the fins are there and they're working, but there's so much going on with the tail. So right there, the swallow tail of the mashup, it creates, it's almost kind of like fins. Whereas the groove is going to be flatter, more like the Machado Cado, and it makes it like a little more stable, but not as immediately tick tacky. Especially if you ride it with certain fins. So, and Rob did say that he rode the groove as a quad, and he was someone who I think he initially was saying he was going to make it a tri-fin only, and like maybe do 2+1 or tri-fin, but then he, either caved or was like, all right, let's do 5-fin. Now when he's ridden it as a quad, he says he does like it. So that's interesting, because sometimes the boards, again, I think that fins, there is one that does work better than the other. Like in the pod mod, it has 5 fins, but I never liked it as a quad. It always felt like too much fin. Never felt like it worked that good. So I think that's why Rob was kind of surprised when his new board, the Groove, did work good as the quad, because he was like, well, this is going to be a thruster. I mean, especially because it's a performance shape. And usually with these performance shapes, back in the day, they were more so thruster. Like it was just kind of set in stone. You bought a 1990s shortboard, like the Groove, it came with 3 fins thruster. Did that, you call it a day. And it wasn't a 2+1. It was mostly people were riding the AM2s or the AM3s, which in theory it kind of is a 2+1, because the back fin on the AM2s and AM3s is a little smaller. It's like minuscule, but it is a teeny tiny bit smaller, which is kind of sick, because I think that's why everyone liked those fins so much, because they were kind of doing the 2+1 thing before 2+1 was a thing. 2+1 fins, usually the back fin is like a good amount smaller, but the AM2 and AM3s, even the AM1s, the back fin, it's not that, it's like this much smaller. Or a 2+1, it's like that much smaller. So once I kind of had those magic fins in the pod mod, I didn't have any reason to change them up. Especially because when I did try like a twin or 2+1, it just didn't feel very good. So people get stuck riding the same fins all the time, me included. Even I got stuck on the NVS album fins for a while, which I think still are amazing. I'll show you guys really quick. The Apex NVS albums. And I'm going to share my screen. I might go silent for a second, but let's see what happens. They are very amazing fins. And even those I stuck on for a year or two. So it's kind of cool when Firewire does stuff like they come out with the Machado 2+1 fins, and then even the new. Oh, did I delete those? Dang it! I had another good, awesome banger thumbnail. I deleted it, showing the new Groove fins. I guess I could bring them up real quick, but the Groove has fins that it came out with, which I really like because again, it gives you like a new. It gives you an option for fins that you don't have to think about as much, and it lets you experiment more. And like even though you still have to buy the fins, let me screenshot this. It's still it's a great idea because a lot of times you're like, well, I do want to experiment with fins, but which fins like should I even try? Because there's like a billion options and there's like 10 brands now, so you don't really even know which one to even try. But when a company comes out with fins for the board, it makes it a lot easier to be like, well, at least these, here they are. At least these are made for the board. Like at least I know these are gonna go at least half decent because they are literally made for the board. So it's a sick option just to be able to keep experimenting. Like say you have a set of fins you like you have the Dan Mann fins. Well, you get the Groove and it's like, well, now if you do get these fins, you can see, oh, I can try the quad, I can try the tri fin, I can try my Dan Mann fins. Then I can try like a proper 2+1, and you'll definitely find one. Like I've realized, I usually prefer one type of fin set like heaps more than the rest. It's to me, it's usually not even close. It's usually like in the sweet potato too, which I am still working on, and I'm definitely bailing on the live stream with that. I'm just gonna edit like I'm in slave labor and just edit that thing till the cows come home. But it's gonna be worth it. It's gonna be a freaking banger. Got some great clips I've been putting out, so I'm gonna keep putting out clips while I edit it. But that board, I definitely like realized. All right, the Endorphin KS fins are sick, but the back nub sucks. Not good. Too skatey, no hold. A bigger back fin is like magic, and it's crazy how only this much different in fin size, like that much, makes it completely different. So imagine how much whole different set of fins with different cant and different rake and different sizes does. So it's kind of why in surfboards why a 5.9 mashup and a 5.10 mashup can be so different, because it's an exponential change in all directions. It's not just like, oh, the board's a little thicker, so it's a little thicker right here and that's it. No, the board's thicker in the middle, it's thicker at the nose, thicker at the tail. It's also a little wider, a little thinner, and it's also going to be more volume or less volume. I mean, there's so many little things that happen that it ends up being like a exponentially bigger or smaller. And even in those small increments, it's a lot of change. I mean, even in like snowboarding, when you have a 155 centimeters versus a 157, that's only centimeters, which is even smaller than inches. But even that still has a big difference. So, it's in the end, it's like it's great to be able to mess around with stuff, because you might like the Groove more with the tri-fins, but then in a quad you might actually like the MASHUP more. So the fins play such a big part in it that you just can't really sleep on it, and you have to at least like, instead of just say you have the MASHUP and you're kind of over it like me, you're like, oh, MASHUP sucks now, it's old news. Going and buying the Groove, it's like not going to be like flicking a switch and it's going to be like so different that you just start shredding and no more worries and life's amazing again. It might ride different enough to give you a different feeling, but in the end, like, you can still achieve a similar feeling by trying different fins or going up a size in the mashup or down a size. So it's pretty cool now. We're in like a good time where there's all these boards that, like these two, where they seem pretty similar, but they're actually very different. And it's from, one shaper who is some saying both of them, and then Dan Mann is saying another one of them. And what's funny is, again, like I don't necessarily think that the groove would be a better high performance board. Like I just don't kind of understand how it would be, because just the tail on the mashup is so unique that um it's interesting that like they even classify it as a hybrid, because everyone I talk to, I'm even going to read a little bit of what the site says right now about the mashup, what the reviews say, because, and especially because a lot of people with the mashup, they do the opposite of supersize. They get it too small. Most people at the mashup, they get the 5.7. They go pretty tiny Tim. And like, let's say the mashup says both board designers spent time mixing and matching their favorite elements of the shape. They landed somewhere that goes fast in weak waves as the seaside, but it also drives vertically good as like the Spitfire. The mashup is the ultimate groveler you'll never want to take out of your truck. So that's what's funny. Like, to me, the mashup doesn't seem as much as the seaside as Firewire's kind of saying. And now again, this was before we had all these other boards, so back then it was most like the mashup, because it has the swallow. It kind of has, it might even be like somewhat of the middle of the mashup, and then even towards the nose. But the Spitfire, what does the Spitfire have? I can't remember what tail the Spitfire had. Thought I had a squash tail. Yeah, here it has a squash tail. Yeah, I'm only seeing squash tail Spitfires, so that's interesting, because I haven't seen a pintail here. Yeah, I see like a the Spitfire does have the channels. Interesting. That is very, very, very interesting, mate. Oh wow. Can't believe I never stumbled upon this. So the mashup gets its unique tic tackiness literally from the Spitfire actually had like a crazy pintail thingy. Oh, it's a diamond tail. A diamond step down rail. Okay. So really, like the mashup might even be more so the top half is the seaside and the bottom half is the Spitfire, which makes a lot more sense now, because I was used to think that the bottom half was more so the seaside and some of the top, but it's almost like they took the bottom of the Spitfire and the top of the seaside and smushed them together. And that's why the wide point is more up at the top of the mashup, kind of like the Dominator, or not the Dominator, kind of like the Groove. So that's pretty interesting. So, and that's what makes me think that the Groove actually probably could be a better groveler than the mashup. I mean, it seems kind of silly to even think that, because it's not in the groveler category on the website, and it's Rob's performance shortboard. So Rob's performance shortboard is not meant to be a groveler. It's meant to be a performance shortboard like he used to ride before he made the drifter. So it's all like super interesting. And we're getting to like an hour and 10. My voice is starting to go, so we're probably gonna wrap it up here maybe soon. But I think in the end, like if you're trying to pick between these two, it's funny because again, I've said "and" again a bunch, but they classify one as more of a groveler, even though I think that if you're, well, first off, I think you need to be an intermediate and above surfer for either of these boards. Both of these boards, to me, are for middle intermediate to above intermediate and to advanced. If you're a beginner, I would steer clear. I would go greedy beaver, like Channel Islands water hog. I'd go seaside and beyond. I would go more like that. Once you're in like the actual intermediate, I still would avoid these, and then I would go Machado Cotto, Seaside, like maybe Lost RNF if we're gonna go out of the Firewire brands. But even Lost RNF to me is more like a pod mod or kind of more like a mashup. But I would only look at these if you're in the middle intermediate and above, and you want a performance shortboard, and that lands you to here. Now, if you're here, if you want something that's going to be, I would think like more precise, more refined, maybe a little bit more drive and more squirreliness, more in the pocket, like hard cutting, go MASHUP. If you want a board that's going to be kind of like surfing like Rob Machado, but in a high performance way, go Groove. If you have the Machado Cotto, I don't think there's a reason to get the Groove unless you want to have like that two board quiver where the Groove is kind of like your step up. But what I've realized is the Machado Cotto actually does do really good in bigger waves. Where it might struggle though is when it gets more top to bottom, and that's where the Groove could take over. And a little bit of thinness in the tail and the nose compared to the Cotto would help it out heaps because you're able to dig the nose, dig the rail, do moves a little more like in the tight pocket. Whereas the Machado Cotto, it is going to be a little more free flowy. And then let's definitely not forget about the new goat, the two fish. The two fish, I would say, is also in the middle intermediate to above. And you gotta know like how to ride a twin fin. Or if you're like your goal is to get better to twin fin, go two fish. Because what's funny is the two fish, it's the fastest board I've ever ridden, probably. It is faster than the Machado Cotto. It is faster than the MASHUP. And I used to think the MASHUP was the fastest board ever. Then I rode the two fish, and I was like, well, hold on. The two fish is the fastest board ever. And then even compared to the Album Twinsman, to me, the two fish is faster. It has such a spoon in the bottom of the board. You can see it back there, waiting patiently for its next shred. But it kind of takes like the Machado Cotto, but it lets it be more free flowing, and it takes more of the bottom width and pushes it up some. And then even near the nose, it's pretty much almost the same as like the Cotto or even the sweet potato. But it keeps it a little more thicker with two C's at both ends. So what I've realized is it's not like as kind of pumping down the line precise. You let the two fish do more of the work, and you're just holding on. Whereas like today when the waves are pretty good, I could really feel the Machado Cotto like surfing exactly how I wanted to in a very precise way. So if I wanted to up the precision even more and maybe just lose a little bit of gravelability, that's where the Groove would come in perfectly. And I know people on my YouTube were saying that they think that'd be the perfect combo is the Groove and the Machado Cotto. And I do think so. I mean, I think you could also, I know Tommy Surfs talks about having a mega groveler in the mix, like a uber groveler, which for me, because I oversized the two fish, it works perfectly as that. You could oversize the Machado Cotto
and it could work good as your mega groveler. But if you like normally size the Machado Cotto or the Seaside, it's more so of a groveler. So I'm gonna see what someone said when they were talking about. Let's see. Oh yeah, this guy Trestles Rocks. Shout out Trestles Rocks. I don't know if you're in the chat right now. Shout you out. And guys, please give me a little like if you haven't. Please subscribe to the channel. I appreciate it. If you're feeling grateful, feeling froggy, leap, you could show some support. You could drop me a super chat for a coffee. I also just started a membership channel where you're on little special emojis. We're gonna start doing more membership stuff. So check that out. All the stuff's in the description. But yeah, in my last live stream where I compared the Groove versus the Machado Cotto, Trestles Rocks is saying that he has both the 5.6 Machado Cotto and the 5.9 Groove. And thank you guys. I saw a bunch of likes. Thank you very much. Very nice of y'all. He was saying he has the 5.9 Groove and the 5.6 Cotto, which like that's a he did that perfectly. Like he went like in size the Machado Cotto in a very realistic way. Whereas like this is a 5.10 Machado Cotto, so for me, it ends up almost getting that uber gravel category, which I like. But he went 5.6, which it ends up being pretty much a normal graveler, kind of like the Lost movie 5.5 and 19 and a quarter, whatever it was called, when Corey Lopez and Mordo were riding that small Lost fishboard. That's kind of what the grovelers are supposed to be. You're supposed to size them pretty small, and then they're so thick and heavy that it ends up working. But usually you can oversize them a little bit, and they'll grovel in like the softer, flatter section waves as well. But he has the 5.6 Cotto and the 5.9 Groove, and he's saying it's an excellent two-board quiver. There's virtually zero overlap from when you ride one versus the other, as the Cotto thrives in waist-high, mushy to clean conditions, and the Groove really doesn't come alive until shoulder high and bigger and ideally steeper waves. The Groove can surf down from that, but the Machado Cotto does outshine it. So it's a no-brainer decision if you have the choice, and the Groove is the next level once the Cotto starts to redline in better waves. He had the Groove out in 6 to 8 foot the other day, and it was completely in its element. It could easily go in bigger surf. And then Craig T2G, who's also a regular commenter, said, "Wow, sounds like the perfect minimalist quiver. I'm thinking of going the same route." So I thought that was super interesting because, like, what happened is, like, a year ago, the Machado Cotto and the Groove didn't exist. So within 1 year, Firewire and Rob Machado created a two-board quiver that's kind of instantly goated. Like, the Machado Cotto kind of came out of nowhere, and then really it's funny how it's kind of like the Dad Bod 2.0 from Dark Arts, just amped up some. But it's funny how that board just came out and everyone was like, "All right, this board's awesome," and now it's the talk of the town. And then he came out with essentially a light version that now, like, within a year, you got a two board quiver that didn't exist. And there's not a lot of other boards I think that could do it that well and have not as much overlap and work good enough together where you're not going to get on one and feel weird, get on the other feel weird. They're going to complement each other well enough where you'll get on one, you'll get on the other. They'll feel similar enough to not mess you up. So I think that the Groove and the Cotto is a great two board quiver, but I wouldn't go Groove and MASHUP as my two board quiver. I think there's more overlap, and I think these boards are actually probably the closest to of these kind of boards in this range. So if you want to be at 2002 Rob Machado before he made the drifter, go groove and just call it a day, and just get the groove, set of fins, and just experiment with the quad and the try. If you want to be more tic-tacky, maybe more Taylor Knox style surfing, and you want to push it a little harder and be a little more not as smooth as butter, more Wardo or even Rap Boy style of surfing, then go MASHUP. And that is my final answer. So I appreciate everyone for tuning in to another Hero's Journey live stream. Let me know in the chat if you have any other questions, any other thoughts. Which of these two boards are y'all keen on? If I had to pick one, I mean, I own the 5.9 MASHUP. I'll show you right now. It's right there. I would probably still go MASHUP for myself. Because the groove, and to me, it's pretty much like typical standard shortboard that, it doesn't really have a spot in my style of surfing now. Like I want a little more film forward. I like swallowtails a lot. They do feel good. And the MASHUP, I feel like it's become like my go-to shortboard when I want a shortboard. And even though on paper the groove is more high performance, I just don't know if for me it would be or not. So it'd have to be a day where I ride them both back to back a bunch to really see. But each one definitely has enough overlap where if you're a better surfer, I would say MASHUP. If you don't know which one to get because your skill level might not be there yet, I think you would have an easier time surfing the groove. The MASHUP is a tricky board to surf, especially because you'll probably undersize a little bit. Groove, you don't have to go as crazy, and it's going to be an easier board to ride. And if you've ridden the Dominator or any similar shortboard, you're going to have an easier time on the groove than the MASHUP. So, again, thanks you all for tuning in. We are pretty much at 1 hour and 20. It's like we watched a movie here. We watched Working Man, starring Jason Statham. So, it was a good movie, Jason. Thank you very much. But I need to finish my smoothie and let my voice rest. So, I appreciate everyone for tuning in again. Hit subscribe on the way out. Smash like. Till next time, we out of here. Peace.